Hey empowered parents, and welcome to Pittman Parenting and our episode on how to help your babies learn to sleep through the night. Now, many of you saw our viral video of becoming a new parent, glass breaking video, but notice that I never said sleep deprived or never sleep again. We specifically said sleep training and 2 a.m. wake ups because those are specifically true. And we don't want to promote the bad parenting stigma that with kids you never sleep again. So for all the expecting and new parents out there, I have good news for you. Take a sigh of relief because it doesn't have to be that way. And there's absolutely no way that we could parent the way we want to if we were sleep deprived. I'm sure when many of you were becoming new parents, you got the million-dollar question, how are you sleeping? Or prior to your baby's birth, a lot of you got, you'll never sleep again. And I'm here to tell you, in our experience, this was far from the truth. And no, it's not because we're lucky. It's a very simple method leading not only to your baby getting healthy sleep that they desperately need for healthy development, but also sleep that you need to be the best and happiest parent you can be. Even a 7-year career in childcare did not prepare me for nights with newborns coming into parenthood. But I knew this idea that parents never sleeping again had to be an incorrect stigma because I talked to my mother, grandmother, aunts, and no matter which elder generation I spoke to, none of them agreed that this was a normal problem. Not one of them said that they remembered not being able to sleep. So I went searching for the secret to not only help myself, but help other parents everywhere. After our trip to Ireland, where we had begun trying for our firstborn, I fell completely in love with the European parenting culture. An entire culture of sweet, well-behaved, independent, happy children and happy and relaxed parents. And a friend of mine suggested a Parisian parenting book, which led me to, ta-da, the pause method. And I'm going to give you this method step by step. Now, I can't take credit for this method because it's not mine. I give full credit to my absolute favorite parenting book that I suggest to any parent, new or experienced. And it's called Bringin' It Bebe by Pamela Druckerman. Now, the pause method used to be common sense in the States as well, to the point of where it didn't even have a name yet. It was just a natural thing that all parents did, but somehow got lost in the States while the millennials were being raised. Then when I talked to my elders and told them about this method, they go, oh, well, yeah, duh, you do that. I didn't even know that had a name. It was just common sense. Believe it or not, in this book, the author communicates that the average European child begins sleeping through the night by 6 weeks old, as compared to many American children that may still struggle with sleep to the age of 3 or even later. And I know what you're thinking, baloney, right? This idea sounds ludicrous to most American parents. Even I thought that at the very least it was an exaggeration until we became new parents and applied this method to our babies ourselves. Now, we started this method with both of our children the first night they were born in the hospital. And the result? Our son was sleeping through the night by 5 months old, and our daughter was actually sleeping through the night by 5 weeks old. When I say sleeping through the night, I mean a minimum of 8 hours. So even before they were doing a full uninterrupted 8 hours, they were still doing 4 to 6 hour stretches, which is very doable. None of this 1 to 2 hour garbage that our pediatrician tried to tell even me as a new mama of a brand new baby boy. Now, I'm not going to tell you to ignore your pediatrician's advice. I'm just saying that we did on this one topic. Both of our babies were and are exclusively breastfed until 1 year of age. And both of them have been completely happy and healthy since the day they were born. Both have grown on their healthy growth curve, and neither have been to the doctors for anything but standard checkups. Now first we're going to go over sleep cycles so you can understand your baby's sleep a little bit better and feel more comfortable and confident that your baby is in fact okay. Just like adults, babies change sleep cycles. Adults go from one sleep cycle change and plunge right into the next one without waking up at all. Unlike adults, babies haven't learned how to change sleep cycles yet. In their infant stage, while they're learning to change sleep cycles, they whimper and even move their bodies while they're moving from one sleep cycle to the next. I go more in depth about sleep cycles in our sleep regressions video. Now, when you're experiencing your baby moving or crying or whimpering, you may immediately assume that the baby is awake and needs something. However, frequently what the parent is actually doing is interrupting a sleep cycle change, resulting in you and the baby never getting rest. And this misunderstanding usually results in 1 or several years of no sleep for you or your kiddo. The next question parents ask me is, when can I start the pause method? Bad sleep habits begin forming around 4 months old. Starting this method as soon as possible will nearly eliminate the chances of having to let them cry it out later on, because no parent wants to hear their baby cry very long. We personally started the pause method the very first night both of our kids were born in the hospital, after of course they learned how to latch for breastfeeding. Now, take into account we were blessed enough to have 2 healthy births of 2 healthy babies. However, that's not always the case. So if a baby is born prematurely, underweight, has a hard time maintaining temperature, or any other reason for having to go to the NICU, then maybe waiting a bit before starting this method is best for you. Remember, no one knows what's best for your baby more than you do. Also, something else to take into account is breast milk versus formula. Breastfed babies will eat slightly more frequently than formula babies, since breast milk is digested more quickly than formula. Here's our experience with our firstborn. Our son has been breastfed since birth, and from the time he was born until 5.5 months old, he woke up twice a night. He has slept in his crib and in his own nursery since 2.5 months old. And he sleeps 7:30 to 7:30. Around midnight, we could expect him to wake up, and then again around 4:30 or 5 a.m. And he has slept through the night for 10 to 12 hours a night since 5.5 months old. I would pump milk on a daily basis. My husband would get up for the first feeding at midnight, and I would get up for the second feeding. Teamwork as parents helps both of us get healthy amounts of sleep. Both of us individually got a good, collectively 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. As we know, all babies are a bit different, and our experience with our daughter was even better than this. I wrote everything down, the dates, their ages, and times, so I could give you guys accurate information. Our daughter has also been breastfed since birth, and will continue till a year. She did 4-hour stretches from birth to 2 weeks old, 5-hour stretches at 2 weeks old, 6-hour stretches by 3 weeks old, 7 hours by 4 weeks old, and 8 hours by 6 weeks old, and 12 hours by 10 weeks old. Now I'll tell you why our daughter got there so much quicker. Our son wasn't as quick to latch for nursing. He didn't have quite as big of an appetite, and he hated bottles. Our daughter, however, latched 15 minutes after birth, nursed for 20 minutes, and took her first and all of her bottles like a pro. So because she ate more, she was able to sleep longer. A bigger appetite means longer sleep stretches. This is why I say every baby's a little different. However, luckily for us, their brains all develop around the same ages. So with parenting education, we're able to know what to expect, what to do when new stages are reached, and feel more relaxed and confident as parents. So now for the big secret. The pause method. When they start to wake up, step 1, don't jump up right away and pick them up. Wait at least 5 minutes, preferably no more than 10. If they continue to cry after that, then you can assume that it isn't a sleep cycle change and that they may actually need something. Step 2, check their diaper first. If the diaper's clean, then step 3, you can confidently assume that they are hungry and try to feed them. And that's it. That's the big secret. Like most new things people learn, they're very easy steps. That's not the hard part. The hard part is doing it while you're half conscious at 2 a.m. It's hard hearing your baby cry anyways, let alone when you're desperate for silence at 2 a.m. But if you can do it, it won't last nearly as long as if you're jumping up to every minor sound they make. And we don't call this sleep training, it's called sleep teaching. We're simply giving them the opportunity to learn. Learning to change sleep cycles so they and you get healthy amounts of rest. They also, at a very young age, develop healthy sleep habits. They never develop difficulties with sleeping, and they completely bypass the concept of, every time I cry, I get picked up? Well, okay, I'll just cry all the time. Another important thing to do during the day is to encourage more frequent feeding so that they are remaining completely healthy while doing long stretches of sleep during the night. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I can say from personal experience, using the pause method, both of our children have more than maintained a healthy curve on the infant growth chart. Adults are hungry at night too, however, we sleep through it because we understand that we don't eat meals at night. This is how we teach our babies this concept. And as babies grow, their tummies get bigger and they get larger meals and therefore begin to eat less frequently, and will soon be able to sleep through the night. We also use the pause method during the daytime too. When our kids get fussy, we wait 5 minutes to allow them to self-soothe if possible, and they nearly always do. Prior to baby sign language, an infant's only real form of communication is the parent's reaction to their action. Pausing for 5 minutes before reacting to the fussing is to not make the connection that if we want to be held all the time, all we need to do is cry nonstop, which only creates an unhappy baby and stressed out parents. This is a small way to introduce confidence and patience. Now, being that we've used this method since day one, our kids both only get fussy when they actually need something, a diaper change, teething, or is hungry or tired. Otherwise, when they're awake, they just happily hang out. Not only are they happier, but we are happier too. Now, through the pause method, babies are given the time needed to sort through whether or not they actually need parental attention, so we can be sure that our babies are getting all of their physical and emotional needs met without creating unhealthy habits. And therefore, it's also far easier to understand your child's needs. Obviously, our babies have different cries, and very soon you will begin to hear the difference. You will quickly learn if they are simply fussy versus when your baby actually needs you right away. Pausing before reacting also gives you the opportunity to familiarize yourself with your baby's different cries. It makes for a less stressful and more relaxed atmosphere for us as parents and for our little ones. As with most aspects of parenting, consistency is key. Inconsistency leads to inconsistent results. Keep at it, you've got this, parents. Children only add to our lives, they do not consume it. This sleep teaching method not only worked for both of our babies, but also all of the parents that I've coached who've successfully applied it, and the majority of an entire other parenting culture in Europe. Last tip is to remember, even with sleep teaching, most babies will still go through their normal 3 sleep regressions, which usually happens around 4, 9, or 18 months. If you're experiencing this, Go check out our video on sleep regressions to help get your baby back on track. Please share and tag anyone in this video you know who could use this help. We need to be spreading the word to help others and have a more relaxed and enjoyable parenting experience. Keep lifting one another up and empowering each other. Thank you so much for joining us on how to help our babies sleep through the night with Pittman Parenting. Bye, guys.